Hi, thanks for joining me in this second web series on Virtualmin installed on CentOS 7. We're gonna take off from the place where we left it in the first web series. So quickly a recap. So last time we installed Virtualmin on CentOS 7. And then we were able to log on and see the initial screen. That's where we left it. What we're going to be covering today is quick navigation and, let's say, the dashboard of Virtualmin. What are the features of this dashboard? We're gonna quickly look into the authentic theme which comes as default on Virtualmin and change some of the settings. We're gonna then do the initial initial configuration wizard, followed by some post installation configuration, and then the last we're gonna change the default port of Virtualmin on which it listens to. This is you can already guess, this is from the security point of view, because let's imagine your server is on the internet, and by default, if it is running on 10,000, this so we're gonna change the port to something else other than 10,000. This can reduce the security exposure of your server on the internet. So let's get on to the okay, so we're gonna log on to our server, which is the IP address followed by the port, and as you can see, we get a small warning here, and this is quite normal, and it's quite okay. It's basically your browser is complaining that the server or the web access does not have a certified certificate, let's say, and since it is a self-signed certificate, we're gonna ignore this warning, add an exception to it, so don't get this, and then I'm gonna log on to the server. Okay, so this is where we left it last time, if you remember from the previous series. I'm gonna quickly cover some of the aspects of the dashboard. So this is the virtual dashboard, which you from here, where you can monitor or have different, let's say, views into the server. So basically that's your IP address, that's the OS theme it's running on, the system uptime, what number of packages are ready for update or have updates being released, and then you see this information window. We're going to come back to that later on. So next section is the Virtualmin new features. So any new features which come in or get implemented gives us a notification in this section. For this we can ignore this for now, we're not interested. Okay, the next sections are status. So basically here the different server applications, there are options to either start, stop, or restart. So in this case, the Apache web server, Bind DNS server, the mail server, etc., SQL for example, and you can see all these servers are running other than the Pro FTP server. So we'll get into that later on. For now we will move on. So, and next section, which you can quickly expand, here is what shows us, or how many domains are being hosted on our server, what are the DNS zones, in terms of numbers. So it gives us a good picture, and of course the graph on top about the CPU utilization or the disk space, right, of your VPS. So moving on to the next section which we wanted to cover. So on the left side, basically you see kind of a mini dashboard or so-called panel link, and under that you see two. Leftmost tab is called Webmin, and so it gives us access to the core functionalities of Webmin, and on the second tab, that's where your Virtualmin related settings reside on. That's mainly two part of it, and as you are aware already at this stage, Virtualmin comprises of Webmin and UserMin in the backend, which Virtualmin uses to provide us as a complete web hosting front end. Right, on the right side you see a small bell or a warning or notification. This is part of the theme, and you would get notification here for this. We're gonna delete this part of the notification. Okay? Here are some shortcuts. So basically you can log out from here, you can refresh the server, or even go into the theme for here. Of course I won't be able to cover all the settings or all the links here, but eventually we would be going through this in the future web series on different topics which we're gonna be planning to cover in the near future. Okay, so quickly gonna make some changes into the theme. So you can see here, you can go into the theme from here, right? So we're gonna click here, takes us to the Webmin theme, authentic theme options, and there are quite a lot of settings here, I have to say, and so we're not going to go into the details here, but of course I'm going to show you how you can also go. So you can go into Webmin, you can go into configurations, and here we are looking for Webmin themes, right? So that shortcut basically it just takes us here. Okay, we're gonna change some of the things to basically to my likings. I don't like this animation windows. Typically these can slow down the performance. This theme seems to be using HTML5, and at times if a particular task is taking a lot of time, it somehow gets caught in a loop. So I tend to disable these animations quickly. Okay. What else? I'm going to disable the notification slider also. Seems to distract me from time to time. That I'm gonna remove that. I don't need hotkeys for now. This is a very nice, let's say, feature, but just to keep it simple, gonna. Okay, this is fine. This is from the file browser, one of you, and there's one particular setting for updates where the theme is gonna try and update automatically. I'm just looking where that option is. Animate table. Sorry about this. Just a second. Yeah, so found out the setting is here. Yes, so once you do this, it's gonna look for authentic theme updates from time to time, so that you get a notification and you can update it from the dashboard itself. I'm also going to unhide this option, and we will see this later in a dedicated session for filemen. Save this. Okay, and then go to the home page or the dashboard. As you can see here, it gives us a nice update if there is a update available. So let's do this. So you can see the theme has got updated to the latest version. I'm gonna close that screen. If you have the time, you can go through the change log for bug fixes or anything like that on the theme itself. Okay, we're gonna move on from here. We're gonna get into the main topic, so we're gonna go and do the initial configuration. So as you can see here, when it tries to do the initial checks, it already kind of complains that this system is not set up for DNS. So I'm gonna add this here. Basically the underlying issue is that the server, Virtualmin server which you are running on, needs to understand itself that it is a DNS server by itself. So it needs the local host address here in the configuration, so it can be a host to other domains and other name server server requests. Okay, now save this localhost address there. Apply the settings and then come back to the dashboard. Now rerun the configuration. Okay, so this is what you would see, and again, from this depends from system to system, configuration to configuration. I have faced this, so let's try and solve this. Okay, so what we need to basically do is, as you can see, a warning message that somehow my server seems to be getting its IP address from the DHCP. So that's not a very good thing. If you're going to try and run a server, it should have a static IP address. Okay, let's try to change this. We're going to go into webmin and then a networking configuration. I'm going to first look into the network interfaces option, and here you can see the present IP address which my Ethernet adapter has got from the DHCP, and I know this from because it says here the configuration presently is to get the IP address from the DHCP. That's not a good thing. So let's change this. I'm gonna say it's gonna be static IP address. I know the IP address. Again, the net mask is dependent on your configuration. For mine, this is what it is. I'll leave this as automatic, and I'll leave the IPv6 address as from discovery from the DHCP basically. I'm gonna save this. Okay, so I've done that part. Then I'm gonna go back into the configuration. For configuration, I'm gonna look into the routing and gateways, and what we need to do here is we need to configure the default gateway as a router, activate it as a router. So let's enable it for our interface, and that's the default gateway for my server, my IP address. I'm gonna save this. Okay, that's the second section. I'm gonna quickly have a look here. Okay, this is fine for now. and I'm gonna look here. So what you can see here is this is the default host file. Apparently I don't need all this in there. I don't know from where it comes, probably during the installation. I'll save that. Here might be the local host. Then I'm gonna, this is not necessary, but nevertheless I like it, so that the absolute host name and the long naming host name both are in place in the host file. I'll save this, and then I'm gonna come back to the dashboard. At this stage I'm gonna rerun this check. Okay, probably this is due to the fact that I have not applied the configuration. Networking, then I'm gonna apply. At this stage I have applied the settings. I'll go back, rerun, and if you have done the settings right, this should run ahead and give us the outcome. So what you can see here is we have no more the warning or the error message from the DNS. It went ahead and installed Apache or configured Apache server. It installed the Pro FTP, and if you remember from the initial screen, that was an error message. But at this stage it has got stuck and it's complaining about the mailman service. So we're not going to use mailing lists, so I'm going to disable this feature, and I can show you where. Go to Virtualmin, go to system settings, and here you should see features and plugins. We're gonna unclick this, untick this, and then gonna save it, because we're not going to use mailing lists, so we're going to disable the mailman service. Saved it. Okay, so you see apparently it ran the initial check configuration, and it has taken us to the next screen where the post installation wizard has kicked in. Okay, gonna click next. Gonna reload, since I have enough RAM in my server. Gonna reload all Virtualmin libraries and also run domain lookup server. Okay. Okay, we need antivirus. Yes, we're gonna activate the spam assassin server for filtering out spam for our emails. Okay, I'm gonna use SQL. Okay, gonna enter a password here. Okay, it gives us a warning message, or it fails, access denied. What we're gonna do is go into the dashboard. Okay, rerun this, and you can see here basically the error message what it got was at MS SQL. We're gonna go into this module and basically set the password from here. This is probably because of the firewall that it tends to block the localhost connection. So we're gonna try it like this. Okay, so as you can see, I saved the password via the module config, and apparently it has taken it this time. Okay, I'm gonna go back and rerun it. After the MySQL settings, I forgot to mention that we still need to complete this. So when you click on list of virtual servers, it takes you to this wizard again, and at this step I would configure this as large. Again, these settings are as per your virtual private servers configuration, hardware wise, capability wise. And the next section is the name servers. If you have not configured or not pointed out the A records correctly to your server, you can skip this check. But in my case, quickly gonna show you. If you ping the server, it is resolving to the IP address, right? In our case, this is okay. Now click next. This is where it's asking you if you wanna store the passwords in a text file or hash. I would not recommend text files, because if someone gains access to your server, then this system is vulnerable to the hacker or person taking over. Say okay, it says complete, and next, yeah, and then recheck all the settings. Okay, so you can see here at this stage that everything is up and running. There might be still some warning messages, but from Virtualmin's perspective, this initial wizard or configuration wizard is completed. Okay, let's go back to the dashboard. As you can see here, that the initial config is ready. Our system is ready to host domains. Let's go back to our presentation, and the last step, just to not miss this out, is changing the Virtualmin default port. So where we can do that, go into webmin, go into webmin configuration, and look for ports and addresses. Now you can see here, we're gonna change the port to 10,013. Okay, and yeah, that's fine. Save it. Okay, so you can see it has taken us into new web address with the port 10,013. Okay, so this comes to an end to the second series. I will be trying to come back again with future videos. So until then, you can have a look at our wiki, where we are trying to document these steps. You can also send me a note if you have some questions or need some help. I would be happy to extend my help to you over email. Thanks for joining me, and see you next time.